What is up, fellow movie acolytes? My name is Dan Stevens, and welcome to Movie Buffs. Guys, so I'm just doing an initial reaction right now. I just got done watching the Snyder Cut, and I'll give my thoughts on it, and we'll have a actual in-depth edited review in a few days for the good, bad, and the ugly on it. But I just finished it, like I said, 4 hours long, just finished it, and I want to give my initial reaction. So first things first, this is not going to contain any spoilers. I'm not going to spoil anything, so keep that in mind. I'm going to make this quick for you and kind of give you guys my initial thoughts. So guys, first and foremost, I want to talk about our villain, Steppenwolf. So I know that was one of the biggest complaints, and mine included, for the 2017 version. Steppenwolf is much, much improved in this. And guys, my biggest thing is I don't think the original Justice League movie is an awful movie. If you look at it and watch it without the expectations of what a Justice League movie should be, it's not an awful movie. It's just, it suffers from forgettability. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing that really stands out. It's very forgettable. The jokes don't really land, especially after the first or second viewing. I rewatched it a week ago in anticipation for this, and I gotta say, it's just getting worse every time I watch it, I think. But I was also worried that, how much is really going to be different from this. And I gotta say, the entire movie is different, guys. I know it's 4 hours long, so of course it's going to be a lot different, but it truly feels like a different movie. And I was watching it with two buddies of mine, and one of the things we constantly kept saying is, why? Why? Like, you have an amazing scene. There's a scene where you see Flash save someone, and it's a drawn-out scene, and yeah, it's probably longer than it could have been edited down to about 60% of what the scene was. But honestly, it was a funny scene. It had humor, great effects, and it was just it was a really good scene. But anyway, back to Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf is, in my opinion, a really, really much improved villain. The first time he was very much a 2-bit villain. He really didn't say anything or do anything, I guess, for that matter, that was really too impressive. This time around, he looks better. He doesn't look like a half-man, half-goat. He looks like a badass. His armor in this is really awesome. It almost has a personality of its own. It kind of moves around and twitches a little bit, and when there's someone that he feels is a threat, like Wonder Woman, it actually kind of flares out and almost like it's ready for shit to go down. So it's really interesting. Same voice actor and everything. However, I will say they've made it a little lower pitched, I think, and it sounds really good, and he looks amazing, and he's much more formidable. I mean, he straight up kills a lot of people in this movie. Aside from that, he's just a ruthless guy. He's not to be messed with. But also, I really like that we actually get a reason for why he's doing what he's doing, why he's taking over Earth or wants to take over Earth and all these other worlds. Another improvement I saw was in Batman, and Batman, in my opinion, got one of the better ones. And there's obviously, we'll talk about Cyborg next, but Batman in this, he looks much better, and I know there was extensive reshoots, obviously, with the original version, and it's very clear that the Snyder version is when Ben Affleck was really in shape for the role still. The reshoots, he clearly wasn't as in good of shape. He looked a little puffier. He didn't look quite as good for the part. This, he looked good. His lines were much better. You didn't see the awkward bat smile that he did in the Whedon version. He's much more menacing in this, and he doesn't necessarily get a lot more screen time, even though it's 4 hours long. I would argue it's just more completely different lines, completely different scenes. You don't get that awkward, Broadway set prop for Gotham City that we get in the beginning of the Joss Whedon version. That's entirely gone. So instead, we get a much more drawn-out opening, as you'd expect in a 4-hour movie, but it's just it's so much more well done. You get a lot more Bruce Wayne in this as well, and you really feel his guilt at times, and you feel the weight of what he's done in Batman v Superman and why he wants to bring the League together. And also at the end, I feel like he, aside from punching a hole into the, I guess what you want to call it, the shield to get into fight Steppenwolf and the parademons, one of the things is Batman actually feels useful in this. He actually feels like he's doing something at the end other than just fighting like 2 or 3 parademons. He actually saves Barry at one point. It's just a much better portrayal of Batman, in my opinion. Also, in the ending, if we're going to talk about the end real quick, the ending doesn't have the awkward red hue the entire finale, where in the Whedon version, the entire backdrop is all this weird reddish tint, which looked so stupid. I remember seeing that in theaters, and it just was so distracting. And I was actually worried that that was actually part of the Snyder edition. And nope, it turns out it was must be either Whedon or studio thought that they really needed a red background for the final fight scene. I'm glad to say it's gone in this. And the entire final fight scene, it ends similarly, but actually very differently, I guess. The end result is the same, but to get there, and even really the ending, the final fight is entirely different. Also, and I know a lot of people have already said this, and I know a lot of people are wondering, Cyborg. Cyborg, honestly, I would say out of the 4 hours, gets about 45 minutes to an hour of the movie, really, to let him shine. Ray Fisher absolutely nails the role, and I really do hope he does get the Cyborg solo movie still. I know it really has been delayed because of the recent things in the last couple months with the falling out with him and Warner Brothers and how he was treated on the original set for Justice League. But I got to be honest, I'm glad. I think he feels justice has been served with the Snyder Cut, because his character, it's so clear that he got the shaft during the Whedon version, because he's only in the movie for maybe 15 minutes, if I'm being generous, maybe 20. And in this movie, he's so much better. His powers are finally described. You actually understand. I mean, me and my 2 buddies watching it were all like, wow, if I had to pick one superhero, it would not have been Cyborg the first time around. But I got to be honest, I actually kind of would want to have his superpowers, because the guy's got control of all these things, and it actually explains so much more. You get his origin story, which is much better. I mean, everything just makes more sense, and he has his moment to shine several times in the film. So that was honestly the biggest standout to me. All right, I got to be honest, guys. I'm just so hyped up. There's so much to talk about. Did I love everything in the film? No, not really. I mean, it's a 4-hour movie. I don't think that you're gonna love. I don't love everything in some of my favorite movies. I don't love everything in The Dark Knight. I don't love everything in Jurassic Park. Okay, maybe Jurassic Park I do, but or in Star Wars, for the most part. Honestly, guys, for a 4-hour movie, it didn't. I wouldn't say it flew by, because it's a 4-hour movie, but it felt like more I was watching a 2.5 to 3 hour Titanic or Infinity War, Endgame, where it moves along quick. It's a quick pace. Are there scenes that are drawn out? Yes, there's some scenes, especially in the beginning, where they're very slow. The movie's pace could have been a little tighter, but honestly, I still think it could have. You really could have only trimmed it down to like 3.5 hour movie. There's so much here. In my opinion, Snyder was trying to set up not only the Aquaman movie, which we still got anyway, and it was very good, but he was clearly trying to set up a Cyborg movie, trying to set up the Flashpoint Paradox movie, because something happens in the end, guys. For those who know about the Flashpoint Paradox, I really hope that they do go in this direction still, because I think it's a great way to move forward with the DCU. And I really do hope guys like Henry Cavill do want to stay on. And this is a pipe dream, but I do hope Ben Affleck stays on as Batman in the DCEU, and just have Robert Pattinson as standalone films. Or, even you could even Flashpoint Paradox and have Robert Pattinson be the new Batman. So, a lot of things you could do there. More than anything, though, I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of times you just watch this film and you see parts and you scratch your head and go, why was that completely changed, or why was that altered? Because that was so much better the way it was, and I just don't get why. It just shows that studio interference, for the most part, really doesn't equate to good things. And oh my gosh, I know like some of the action was taken with the Whedon version, but there's such better action in the end scene, the finale. Superman is so much better in this film. He's given probably twice as much screen time, if I had to guess. Obviously, again, it's a much longer movie, but you don't get the awkward, like, do you bleed line that he gives to Batman. That to me is so cringy. You don't get any of that. You get a much better, much makes more sense scene. So guys, my final thoughts, honestly, if I had to give it a grade, I would definitely put it in the top. I mean, this is initially, but I would honestly personally put it in the top, definitely top 5 favorite superhero movies. I absolutely loved it. It's right up there for me with The Dark Knight, Batman v Superman, because I do love that movie. Fight me. Spider-Man 2, movies like that. Some epic Endgame or Infinity War more for me. I enjoyed more than Endgame, but it's right up there with those. It's just an amazing movie. It's really well done. Does it have its flaws? Yes. Any movie that's 4 hours long is going to have flaws. Could have been easily trimmed down to 3.5 hours, but honestly, I don't know if you could trim it down much more than that. So that's it, guys. So stay tuned. Like I said, we still have our Good, Bad, and the Uglies dropping for Knives Out, for Clue this weekend. But we will have a Good, Bad, and the Ugly for Batman v Superman and for the Snyder Cut coming up this coming week. So stay tuned, guys.